Hello, True Crime Stories family. Deputies walked Alex Murdaugh into court handcuffed and on a leash. He looked like he lost weight and grew his hair back. Alex may be on a leash because he broke all the court rules at his last trial. He chewed gum, talked to family members, and touched family members, and that's something the courts never allow any other defendant to do. Eric Bland said for normal defendants that doesn't happen. Rep. Rutherford got up to shake Alex's hand in court. People described the interaction between Alex and Rep. Rutherford as appalling, wrong, disgraceful, and disgusting behavior. Someone commented, "Makes you wonder if Murdaugh has dirt on these people." Things that make you go, Judge Newman snapped on Dick Harpootlian after he asked the judge, "Where are you going to get a jury? From Mars?" He argued in vain that Alex would not be able to get a fair trial because of the publicity from the last trial.
This case was finished 6 months ago. Clearly, I don't think anyone disputes has had more publicity than any case in the history of this state, and maybe the country. On national television every day for 6 weeks, the motions motions hearings were covered, and they're here again today. It has been podcasted, blogged. We've got podcasters out there who are gripping their 15 minutes, hanging by their fingernails, wanting more of their 15 minutes of fame, and continue to talk about this. I understand one of the solutions to massive pretrial publicity is a change of venue. There are 2 cases I want to cite to the court, both of the United States Supreme Court cases. Murdaugh versus Florida, and the cited, in Shepard versus Maxwell. There are 2 kinds of pretrial publicity that would indicate a continuance and/or a change of venue required. Prejudice is presumed from pretrial publicity when pretrial publicity is sufficiently prejudicial and inflammatory, and the prejudicial pretrial publicity saturated the community where the trials are held. They found presumed pretrial publicity in a case much less renowned, much less publicized than this one. And Your Honor, to try this case in less than a year after the verdict came in the other case, don't we need to let it calm down a little bit? Where are you going to get a jury? Mars? I mean, there's nowhere in this state.
Allendale, Orangeburg, Beaufort, Colleton,
Your Honor,
Hampton.
I appreciate your sense of humor.
It's not a sense of humor. We have many counties where these indictments were issued. I'm not presuming that a jury cannot be impaneled. Just as the trial that took place on Colleton County, there was no motion to change venue. And I'm not presuming any prejudice, and the test is not based on speculation. The test is whether or not a jury can be impaneled. You first have to attempt to get a jury according to the law.
What I'm saying is, I think it'd be an exercise of futility. I know this. We've been interviewing jurors, as you know, in the murder trial. There was a juror who on that jury who could have been excused, been on the jury panel, was in the previous year, and told other jurors, "I want on this trial. I want on this trial." And that, I'm afraid, is what happened on that jury. We got a motion for a new trial after discovered evidence. The Attorney General is going to file their response tomorrow. We believe the Court of Appeals will order a hearing before a circuit court judge to determine whether or not the corporate court tampered with that jury. And that is and so we would go forward with another trial while that matter is pending, while that matter is being litigated?
Probably not in Colleton County. And during that trial in March, And I was back here 2 weeks ago for a trial, another trial in Colleton County. A mother who had been Teacher of the Year in the school system there left her 13-year-old totally handicapped and disabled child in a car beginning at 11 a.m. when it was 91 degrees outside, and left that child in the car until about 5 or 6 p.m. And she is constantly in and around the car with her boyfriend. And a climatologist testified that the temperature in that car got up to 139 degrees. And you're talking about remorse, and the testimonies and presentations over this mother and her mistake. She was on methamphetamine with her boyfriend. As remorseful. I cannot imagine anyone giving me a presentation of a mother who loved her child and who went wayward and more concerned about using drugs and pleasing her boyfriend than caring for her child. And she got 37 years in prison, convicted of murder. That was 2 weeks ago, here in the same 14th Circuit. And the folks who came to talk with him and said, you know, she loved her child. Nothing she wouldn't do for her child. She had her child in the Special Olympics. But she abandoned the child. And so when I'm listening to Mr. Bamberg talk about Mr. Pinckney, Hakeem Pinckney, I'm thinking of that same type of vulnerability that child had. He was a child at the time, wasn't he?
He was a late teen, I believe, Your Honor.
Yeah. And so he placed his trust in a respected member of the bar, a very respected member of this community. And I could tell that by all of the folks here. You know, sometimes say that there isn't very much between any of us. We all have good and we all have bad, and certainly everyone was here to tell me about all the good in Mr. Fleming, but we're dealing with the consequences of the bad, and that is as bad as it gets in this case for a lawyer who has a prior record. He has no prior convictions, but when you carry on a scheme of over a decade, that's a record. Record that did not result in charges or convictions, but a record of his life. And as bad as it was with Mr. Pinckney, then we moved to the Satterfields. Again, vulnerable people. So I imagine, and I know that many of the friends and family and colleagues were totally shocked, not at what the good Corey Fleming has done over a period of time, but this Corey Fleming in these cases. And quite frankly, when the people come to me and wanted to lay the burden on me, said, "Judge, please be lenient," that's not my responsibility. You know, I believe in justice and mercy, but leniency is not part of Micah, the scripture. Facing 195 years in prison. Anything else before I impose my sentence?
None from the state, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Fleming, if you'll come around for sentencing. My heart bleeds for you because I have no doubt of the quality of human being that you are, as reflected by all of the positive comments. But you must suffer the consequences of your actions in these cases that you're standing before me for. And tempering justice with mercy. It's my responsibility to impose a sentence.